Hey guys, today we're here to explore the new tool Modular Control Rig in the Unreal Engine 5.4 preview. No more starting from scratch with control rigs, which could be complicated and not very user-friendly. With just a few clicks, you'll be able to create your own control rigs. Let me show you. First of all, make sure you have the control rig modules plugin enabled in your project. Then, we can focus on a skeletal mesh of your choice. Here, I'm using the character Echo, which you should now be familiar with. I'll also use a Mixamo character, but I'll talk about that later. Right-click on your skeletal mesh assets, go to Create, and select Modular Rig. Let's dive into this new asset and take a look. The compiler result window should appear in the middle of our UI, but you can close it without any problem. Just a reminder, the tool is still experimental, so expect a few bugs from time to time. We find a fairly simple and familiar interface, which is already a very good point. Everything will happen with the modules you see on the left side of your UI. These modules are like templates assets containing logic and pieces of code found in a traditional control rig system. Here Epic gives us 11 assets ready to be used. If you right-click on one of the modules, then select Browse to Assets, you can access their location. Let's open a module here, and as you can see, we found our traditional control rig graph. The ARM module is composed of several functions and event graphs, including a brand new one called Connector Event Graph. This will help automate the connection between modules. You can also see that the backward solve event is taken into account, and that's very important. Especially for controlling any bake and/or use of layered animation in the sequencer. I'm actually preparing a video on that. And yes, lots of new things to learn here on our Connector Event Graph. But it's exciting, isn't it? You got it now? If you're comfortable with the matrix, you'll be able to build your own modules and streamline the animation process in your project like never before. All while sticking with the same software, or rather engine here. It's motivating and sparks a lot of ideas. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to build my own universe from scratch in Unreal. So exciting. Let's refocus on our modular control rig for Echo. Since we created it directly via the skeletal mesh in question, the base module, which is the root one here, has already been set up. No need to do more here. The next steps are quite simple, as all you need to do is hover over the automatically detected sockets created by Unreal to understand the next steps. Here, the spine socket is available and explicitly tells us what to do. So let's drag and drop our spine module onto it. Again, Unreal will automatically create all the logic of bones controls here. If we look at the attributes of the module on the left here, we can see the general logic and especially how it manages the beginning and end of the bones chain to include. If the automatic detection isn't correct, you can always adjust it at any time. Feel free to test, of course, as you go along with the controls that are set up to ensure that the modules are properly in place. If your character has different proportions and is, for example, a bit more stylized, you may need to adjust the scale, especially of the controls. You can do this by selecting the module to modify, for example, the one we just set up, the spine module, and accessing the attributes in its details panel here on the right. Expand the submenu Spine Control Shape setting, go to Shape under Transform, and now you have access to the transform of your control. The Spine module grants us access to new sockets to continue our modular control rig. From there, you'll be able to implement all the next modules. Continuing with the neck module and then here the shoulder module. Super convenient and easy to use. So fantastic. Now let's play the arm module. By default, here we have an FK type control. We can obviously change that at any time via the details panel of this module with the FK-IK default attributes. We can continue with the fingers, adding the finger module to each one of them. Let's do the same thing on the other side. By right-clicking on a module, we can use the mirror function if needed. It's still a bit experimental, so I repeat the steps manually as seen initially. First, the shoulder module, then the arm module, followed by the finger module for each finger. All the controls are well-oriented and set up here thanks in part to the character's rig itself. Indeed, depending on the orientations of the bones, the default control may not be correctly oriented. We will see this with the Mixamo character. Let's focus on the legs, for example. Let's drag the leg module onto the appropriate socket here. But here, you can adjust an offset on this pole vector when you click on the leg module and go to its details panel. Very useful if your pole vector is not in the right place. It has been quite difficult to adjust it sometimes, don't forget, this is still experimental. Just like with our arm module via the FK-IK default attributes in the details panel, we can switch between FK and IK controls. All that's left is to drag the foot module here, the same for the other side. And there we have it! We have our complete control rig ready to be used in just a few minutes. Let's create a blueprint to assemble all the various assets of this character Echo, such as its groom assets. All that's left is to drag our actor into a sequencer and bring the correct control rig track, which is the modular control rig. And then we can start animating as we please. Here we see Epic's commitment to providing us with all the tools to create and stay within the Epic ecosystem. I find it fantastic to be able to centralize things, especially at the rigging and animations level. You know as well as I do how complicated it can be to manage exports, imports across software, especially dealing with animation data. By the way, I used Eco as an example here because she had quite a complex rig with some additional elements compared to the basic Unreal mannequin. However, the constructor itself remains quite similar, naming conventions, bone hierarchy, etc. That's why I wanted to try it with other rigs, especially those from Mixamo. As I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the video, I managed to create a modular control rig on a character imported from Mixamo. Wasn't easy, I have a lot of things to tell you about it, and that's why I'm saving a separate video to talk about it in a concrete way, and it's coming next week. I hope this video has helped you get started with this new exciting tool, modular control rig. Let me know how you managed to utilize this new tool, your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for your support and see you for the next video. Bye!